Hello guys, today in this video we are going to help you to find out the best rice cookers in market. I made this list based on my personal opinion and I tried to list them based on their quality, durability, customer review, and more. If you want to see their price and find out more information about them, you can check our links in the description below. Number 10. Hamilton Beach Rice Cooker. This little baby blue rice cooker has lots of great features with not a lot of fuss. It has settings for rice/grains, hot cereal, egg, steam, slow cook high and slow cook low. It also has an automatic keep warm setting, delayed start, and time adjustment. That's a whole lot of settings and not all of them play together. For example, delay start is only available for the rice/grains and hot cereal. Fortunately, a handy chart in the manual makes it easy to see which setting are available. We cooked both brown rice and lentils in the machine and both worked well, which was impressive. Our favorite way to cook hard-boiled eggs is by steaming them, and we like that option in this machine. Steaming also worked well, but there's not a ton of space in the steamer basket, so it's limited to smaller batches. We also like the slow cooking options. While it's not as large as a full-size slow cooker, it was large enough for a batch of chili. Number 9. Aroma Housewares 6-Cup Rice and Grain Cooker. The 6-Cup Aroma model is an excellent all-in-one machine for a single person. Its steamer insert is designed to cook a main course and the rice underneath at the same time, so you can make a multi-course dinner. Rice, salmon, and asparagus for one, say. This machine can do that. Just note that it can only do that one serving at a time. The options here are pretty minimal. There's one cook setting controlled by an analog switch, with a simple glass lid that doesn't lock into place. Nothing can go in the dishwasher. The inner steamer does have its own cool touch handles, which is a nice feature. In testing, the aroma did decently, though there was some variability from batch to batch. Jasmine rice came out perfect once and overdone a second time. The small capacity means that small variances in the exact amount of rice and water make a big difference. Measure carefully. The machine automatically turns to keep warm mode when it's done cooking, though the rice starts to harden and stick to the pot after a short time, so we wouldn't recommend letting keep warm run for too long. Number 8. KitchenAid Grain and Rice Cooker. This KitchenAid cooker not only turns out perfectly cooked rice, but also makes it easy to cook other types of grains and beans to the ideal consistency every time. It was a recent find for strategist contributor Kiki Aranita, and one she was surprised to love as much as she does. She already owns several dedicated rice cookers in various sizes and has still found this a useful addition to her kitchen. High praise. Aranita's first test was a long-grain brown jasmine variety that turned out just right, she says. The cooker features ultra-specific settings for 21 various types of grains and beans. While I haven't used it, these seem great to me. The Zojirishi I have will cook non-short grain rice well, but it takes a bit of Googling and some trial and error to figure out exactly how to do so properly. Aranita says she hasn't soaked beans independently of the cooker since she got it, and every batch has come out at the ideal level of doneness, nary an overcooked broken bean in sight. And she calls it absolute magic with quinoa. Number 7. Instant Pot Duo 67-in-1 Electric Pressure Cooker. It's no secret that the Instant Pot can do a lot, but strategist senior editor Jen Trolio primarily uses hers for rice, making it for her family of 4 at least once a week. She takes a stainless steel mixing bowl, fills it with equal parts water and rice, and sets it inside the Instant Pot on top of the wire rack the unit comes with. Then she puts a half-inch or so of water at the bottom of the larger container, not covering the top of the rack. She cooks on high pressure for 4 minutes, then does the slow release for about 10 minutes, with a manual release if there's any pressure remaining at the end. With a little fluff, it's ready to go. It's nice to have the nearly set it and forget it convenience of a rice cooker that is also multi-purpose for pressure cooking, slow cooking, and so on, Trulio says. Obviously, we could still do rice on the stove, but on top of the convenience, the Instant Pot can be shoved to the edge of the counter and not take up a burner. Number 6. Kukov CRPP 1009 SB Pressure Rice Cooker. Cuckoo rice cookers are the most common ones you'll see in Korean households. I bought one because that's what my mom and aunts use, says Joanne Lee Molinaro, better known as the Korean vegan. When you go to the Korean grocery store, you see a bunch of cuckoos all over the place. Molinaro uses hers, a slightly older but similar model to the one listed, primarily for brown rice, which she and her husband eat most, as well as mixed rice, the setting for which she uses every time she combines grains. With Korean rice, a lot of times it's not just rice, she says, explaining add-ins like soybeans, farro, pearl barley, and even chestnuts and sweet potatoes are fairly common. For food writer Justine Lee, who has the more recent model, the multi-cook setting is where it stuns. Multi-cook essentially turns the appliance into a pressure cooker and allows you to adjust the time and heat level. Both are as easy as dialing the knob to set, Lee says. It's how I steam a bunch of Korean sweet potatoes right before road trips and quell my bean hankerings come summertime. I've even followed recipes fitted for a traditional instant pot such as cinnamon buns and yak bap, which can get sticky. But cleanup with this rice cooker is a breeze across the board. Number 5. Par's Automatic Persian Rice Cooker. The Par's Persian Rice Cooker is built to do something particular and different from all the others on this list. Make flawless tadik. Tadik is the ubiquitous crispy layer of rice at the bottom and top, when you turn it over, of many preparations of Persian rice dishes. It is also notoriously difficult to master. The goal is to end up with fluffy, separate grains of basmati underneath that crust, which must be evenly crunchy and beautifully golden brown. I'm an avid home cook, but rice was always tough for me, and that's part of why for a while I avoided cooking a lot of Persian food, says writer Arya Roshanian, who chronicled his foray into using the Pars for Vox last year. Funnily enough, his mom and grandmother both used one, and it was during the pandemic that he finally decided it was time to get one himself. In fact, he has two now, the smaller 4-cup he started out with, and a larger 7-cup he uses to make tadik for a crowd. It's user-friendly, he says, something that my 85-year-old grandma who only speaks Farsi and isn't that good at technology can figure out. The first time I used it, I was thinking I would need to try a few times in order to get it right, but it came out pretty perfectly. And then each subsequent time too. It regulates temperature so it never burns. The insert is lightweight, which is nice for turning over. I still oil the bottom a bit because tadik needs to be a little fried. But everything is non-stick, so it's super easy to flip out and to clean. Number 4. Zojirushi NP-NWC-10XB Rice Cooker. This is the previously mentioned higher-end Zojirushi rice cooker that so many experts enthusiastically recommended. It is, notably, the most expensive on the list, but it's clearly a favorite and a worth-it investment if you eat enough rice. It has that same standout technology as the more affordable model, but the main difference is the many settings. Everyone who I talked to about it mentioned one in particular. This model I bought specifically because it has a kanji mode, says food writer and editor Elise Whitney. The one I had previously for many years only had Japanese porridge, which is thinner. So yes, I bought this for a button, but it literally makes perfect kanji. Recipe developer and cookbook author Betty Liu also makes a lot of kanji in hers, calling it convenient, fast, and incredibly reliable. And finally, TikTok recipe creator Vivian Aronson uses that feature too, particularly for breakfast. I can set it at night and have kanji ready in the morning, she says. Number 3. Imusa Electric Nonstick Rice Cooker. The Imusa literally couldn't be easier to use. It's almost toy-like. To turn it on, you just plug it in. Otherwise, it operates with a single tab you switch down to cook and up to keep warm. This latter setting is its default when plugged in, and it reverts back to it the moment a batch is finished. To turn it off, you unplug. In my testing, I found the machine produces nicely textured short and long grain white rice, plump and hydrated but not mushy. I will note that though I haven't tried it with brown rice yet, some reviews say this doesn't work as well because a lot of water collects in the lid, so I might not opt for this model if you plan to make longer cooking varieties. I like the clear lid. The only other model on this list that has this feature is the Persian rice cooker below. It doesn't actually do anything, but there's something satisfying about being able to peek inside. Recipe developer and writer Justine Doran loves her iMusta because of its simplicity and because of its reliability. She first bought it about 8 years ago at Target because it was the cheapest one she could find. Number 2. Aroma ARC 914 SPD Digital Rice Cooker. For a particularly low-key model that gets the job done, the Aroma is a great bet. In my own testing, I found the simplicity of the machine wasn't only good enough but a plus. While I do appreciate the more targeted settings of the Zojirushi, this one was more intuitive to use initially and has only a few very clear settings. Each time, it has yielded fluffy, perfectly cooked grains, no matter if I'm making long grain white, short grain white, or brown rice. And the keep warm setting works well. Once, I let a batch sit for a full hour before I ate, and it was still moist but not overcooked. Recipe developer and cookbook author A.B. Ballingett expresses a similar sentiment. It's very straightforward to use, she says, basically dummy-proof. The cost was part of the initial appeal, Ballingett says, but she's been using hers for 5 years with consistent results every time. She also appreciates the compact size that fits in the small space above her kitchen cabinets. Still, I'll note, it fits plenty. I made rice in it for a dinner party of 5 people and had leftovers. And Chef Justin Lee is a fan too. For home use, I think a cheap and simple one is really all you need, he says. Overall, it's just easier than using a pot, or at least you don't have to watch it as much. It gets the job done totally fine. And sure, there's something about the way the Zojirushi is constructed that makes it superior. But at the end of the day, we're not making sushi rice. This is just us cooking rice at home so we can feed ourselves and our family. For that, he maintains, it's perfect. Number 1. Zojirushi NSTSC 10 Rice Cooker, 5.5 cups. Since I got my hands on this Zojirushi a year ago, my rice has been evenly tender and fluffy every time I use it. I tend to mostly make sushi rice and long grain white rice like basmati or jasmine, and the machine excels at both. I've made brown rice a few times and even tested out quinoa and farro to much success. The reason for this is thanks to what the brand calls fuzzy logic, or a built-in microcomputer that can sense how your rice is cooking and adjust the time and temperature to get a perfect result. I don't totally understand the mechanics, but it works. For the grains that don't have specific settings, the brand has this incredibly helpful guide, and a quick Google search will yield instructions on any type not listed there. I've also used the included basket to steam greens and, as Carla Lally Music taught me, perfect potatoes. And I think it's worth noting, I've left my rice on the keep warm setting for as much as an hour and a half, and remarkably, it doesn't affect the texture at all. Strategist Senior Editor Winnie Yang has let her sit even longer, up to 4 hours, and says the same. When all is said and done, both the steamer and the inside bowl are a breeze to clean. You pluck them out, and any residue rinses right off. My biggest disclaimer, it takes quite a while, about an hour, to cook the rice. Other models, and even making rice on the stovetop, are done in closer to 30 minutes. But for consistency and texture, it really is the best.